I'm going to read off of my notes. I've always enjoyed having a garden, but you can't always get kids outside. Uh, I think it gives you the chance to teach a lot of different science. So I wanted to share with you how I got to where I am. Um, James Ebling, who co-wrote Recirculating Aquaculture with Jim, and he and I worked together for 5 or 6 years, and we put aquaculture units attached to hydroponics in schools that had greenhouses. And let's see, there's James. Hang on. So Les Sorciers, they're in France, and hi, I have cats. Um, you can go to their site, and they came and interviewed us and toured around to successful aquaculture units in schools. Nick Savadov has been educating people in Canada. I encourage you to check out his work. He helps Canadians get fish farming in greenhouses and attach that to hydroponics. And through my going up to visit him in Canada, I met Charlie Schultz. He now teaches at Santa Fe Community College, which is an outstanding research facility in mid to northern New Mexico, which is where I live now. And he teaches not only hydroponics, but also aquaculture, and specializes in trout, which is hard to grow because you need a fast-moving water and a lot of oxygen. So if you're going to watch this recording later, I put down all of their information, so I encourage you to check them out. And I send my students to Charlie if they continue to have interest. If they're in Arizona, George Brooks, Dr. Brooks, is a teacher at Mesa Community College, and he teaches adults mostly, not kids straight out of high school, but adults who want to do this as a career. His specialty was growing fish, and he also teaches now the hydroponics portion as well. And there's Dr. Bruno Sorosi. He and I worked together on designing fish food that that didn't come from catching wild ocean fish. And now he's in Brazil, and he's running his own research down there. I say down there, that's inappropriate, and it's just to the south of me. So Bruno was great with helping me to develop educational opportunities for my younger students. Now, I promised to tell you about the 5-shelf aquaponics. I'll go through this pretty quick because if you need something like this and it's super expensive for you to get the bigger ones, like I showed you before with James and I, the big plastic tanks. These you can get at most Ace Hardware stores. I know I'm speaking to people who don't live in America, but these little black tubs here, I don't know if you can see my arrow, but these black tubs are for mixing grout or small batches of cement, mortar, for small jobs, so they're not particularly expensive. And then these are PVC pipes, and all the attachments can be found at any of our little local hardware stores or some of the big box stores. So I'm hoping that you'd be able to find something similar wherever you are. And the whole thing comes to less than $500 American dollars. So here's a sketch over here to show how it gets put together. if you get this recording, you can stop it and print it out. The inputs would be electricity, adding water to top it off, and that's it. And fish food. And also chelated iron. Let me check my notes to make sure I'm not missing out on something. So there's where we grow the fish. In here is the filter at the bottom. And then each of these shells has a different type of hydroponic growing, deep water culture, pebble medium, and NFT, nutrient film technique. So those are the three basic ways to grow hydroponically. The filter is, thought I added the picture, maybe little things over it. The filter is just easy to buy at any pet store for your, or like for ponds. You can get in that gardening department for ponds. This little thing over here, let me just set it down. There we go. I can see now. I wanted to be sure that you could see that here we've got air bubbling through some worm castings, whatever other kind of extra nutrients you want to pop in there, but mine were worm castings. There it is. There's the different types of filters. I just have all three. There's the black one, the brown one, and the green one. So you put those together, and then you just pull that whole basket out and take it and put it in a bucket to rinse it out, and then use all of that to put on your landscaping plants. Some of the kids would grow plants in pots for sale of landscaping. One of the hardest parts is getting a hole through the bottom of a fish tank. So this diamond bit, you run water over the top of it as you're slowly grinding through. That's always fun. There's a risk, but I think the kids really like trying to do it. Electricity and water is a little scary, so you get to teach all sorts of safety. The double drain, so that the water comes from the bottom, goes up the inside of the outer tube, and then down through the drain, so that if for whatever reason the water shuts off, or even if something breaks funny, the fish are safe. The water drains from the top, so the fish are nice and safe. If it drops too low, they're fine. If the electricity goes out, of course, there's the risk of having not enough air for the fish. So I generally have some kind of backup battery that kicks in if the electricity goes out. There's a pretty decent view of how all of that works. The water drops from the hydroponics in here and gives them a little bit extra. I also teach the kids some chemistry and the importance of the pH. Let me just make sure. Details, filter, overview, fish tank. Oh, sustainable. So the fish cost about 30 cents each, and I have to be very careful with my students because they name them, and that's a shame if they name them, because then when one dies, you have to be careful with their belief system and their level of maturity to be able to handle death. But fish are a really good first step for being able to take care of animals. And remember, I'm dealing with children up to 18 is who I teach, and they all are such beautiful, sensitive beings. So here's the NFT. We grow sprouts in that nutrient film technique. It just runs across the bottom, and we get our little sprouts from that. And those go into a deep water culture, and when I say deep water, it's no more than 4 or 5 inches at this point. That keeps the roots from growing into the into the drain. That's always uncomfortable when you discover the drain is plugged by living matter. The pebbles, they have to have good aeration. So I built the tube to go all the way around and give it good air. Here's a design for that. Otherwise, you get anaerobic reaction under there, and the tomato roots really slow the oxygen from moving around, so you can get some pretty stinky sulfur smell. But that's a whole teaching moment as well. And over to the side, you can see that the tower system can come apart and be reassembled in many different layers. This was presenting at a local book fair. We were showing the kids a bunch of science and how to do that. And we could assemble and disassemble, and making sure that the filter and the sump were at the very bottom. Just next would be the fish tank, and then all of the different types of media beds. That's how much it cost. Back in 2015, which was the last time I did a cost analysis of that, $356.55. And you're welcome to copy that down. Take a screenshot or however you need. And of course, if you email me, my email's down at the bottom corner. You can email me and I'll send you the information. I feel it's super important to get the gardens into the classrooms that don't have to be whole greenhouses like this one. So let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm not sure you need to be taught any of this, but the kids get taught about how the fish waste gets changed by bacteria, and then that goes to the plants for phytoremediation, cleans the water and comes back, and we filter out the solids, and sometimes we process the solids and put it back into hydroponics. Sometimes we use the solids in our landscape. So this very clever human being over here is helping me to make sure the fish are safe and happy. I think we're growing tilapia in that tank. That's at one of the Tucson high schools. Involving young learners, setting up and maintaining the tower garden, provide this practical knowledge and instills a sense of accomplishment, especially when we can eat what we grow. So far, I am the only person that I have been involved with in this who will actually harvest the fish. There are a couple of dads who are good at fishing and gutting, processing the fish, but in the classroom, I'm the only one who does it. And there's generally a taco day when we have fish tacos at the end, and we use our vegetables to go with it. It's another view of nutrient film technique. That is in Arizona, and it's not the best for growing because the water gets too hot. It can go through and reach 100 degrees pretty fast. And what would that be? 38, 39 degrees Celsius. So here are some of the things that we teach, and it's called STEAM, or sometimes they leave out the art and call it STEM: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Let's see, let's save that. I'm just checking my notes, make sure. So young learners develop a deeper understanding of sustainability and water conservation, showcasing the Tower Garden's closed loop system. So we feed the fish and we grow food, and they kind of forget that the bacteria is like a major portion. So I put together special lessons for them to understand how the bacteria changes the fish waste of ammonia into nitrites and then nitrates. He's one of my little students. Um, and when you know where your food comes from, you can make good decisions. So these kids who are involved in the garden and involved in the production of fish, we also had some chickens. So they know where it all comes from. I believe one of the places had some goats. Excuse me. It had some goats, and we were able to make cheese as well. These are my interns. So learning, I guess they were in their early 20s, um, back at the university. Um, to just all sorts of skills needed, besides the basic. Um, Here's a list. I won't bother you with reading all of them, but this is careers in aquaculture. So the kids learn all sorts of fun stuff. And I did notice that some kids were really quite squeamish about putting their hands in the water, and others were enthusiastic, as you could see with these guys, same situation when we had to weigh the fish. One was like, I'll just write it down. I'm not touching the fish. And I still think it's good to expose them to it. Here are additional careers for students interested in aquaponics. These three kids put together kind of like a farmer's market stand, and they were able to run a small business. So I think they were 16 years old. It's one of my colleagues working on a model to understand greenhouse air movement and the importance of that. So Dayanara lived on the reservation, so I don't know if you're familiar with Native Americans living on reservations. But she wanted to bring an alternative way of growing food to her community, and that's her mom next to her. So they were super proud to bring this to their tribe, the Tohono O'odham. A couple of students learning aquaponics through the engineering program at the university. So those are young people. And they built one of the greenhouse aquaponics and hydroponics units. Special needs students get to experience careers and independence and good diet and exposure to things that the classroom can't give them. So we had that opportunity through one of our schools. This is something I hope you take a screenshot of if you'd like to put this kind of thing in your school, or you know somebody who wants to. So the goal and the learning is project-based. We have semesters here, and those semesters are divided up into units. So this is a good ongoing thing for one semester, and then you can start it over again. But it includes that certification, alternative certification. Some of us don't go through school the same as others with just a basic liberal certificate. We need different ways of teaching kids, and this is one of the things that we've developed. So 10 weeks, as you can see here, introduction, understanding fish selection and care, plant selection and growth in aquaponics, environmental control, integrating pest management, system maintenance and troubleshooting, harvesting, I guess, the food and fish harvesting. Then the certification test preparation. So we review the key concepts and then have our final project and certificate, and like to make sure that they give a oral presentation to the school board and perhaps some of their fellow students who maybe were coming up in the lower grades to be able to do this. And my students and I are slowly working on training facilities where they could go after this. And I hope that you will send me your training facility. This is just put together very quickly with young people. And if you've got one that you'd like us to add to the map, please send me that. The kids would be thrilled to hear about it. And there's some of my little dudes. They are 6 years old and very happy to be involved. And that's a lovely drawing that one of them made. So, oh, excuse me, my alarm just went off. I'm supposed to be presenting right now. Ah. Um, so the 5 shelf tower garden makes it so you can have the the greenhouse in your school without having to have a greenhouse. That little thing can be pushed into the hall, can sit in the administration. They can be rolled around and unplugged and put someplace else with a little care and a lot of it little hands. Um, these are different ones that I've done that are larger. This is at a community college over here. This is at a grade school. And that's the 5 tower. Gosh, I am just thrilled to have been asked to speak with you. I'm super honored to be amongst such esteemed colleagues. And if you have a chance to get one of these in school so that the children will say, yeah, I want to be a fish farmer when I grow up. I want to be a scientist when I grow up, or just be more aware of their surroundings and where their food comes from and how it grows uh, as an alternative method. Do you have any questions?